So this is the homepage. We've got a 3D decorated heading and a beautiful light and dark mode, as well as system mode. In my PC, system mode is dark mode, so it should, if I go to system mode, it should be dark mode. And you've got the documentation page, which is fully mobile optimized, so you can scroll vertically and horizontally in mobile. It has animated code both in Node.js and in Python with these little switch tabs. Also, we've got a full OAuth based authentication feature, which allows for SSO, meaning single sign-on, in this case with Google provider. Let me change the language. In this dashboard, we can generate our API key that we can use to make requests to the endpoint in the documentation and get the similarity of two texts. So to try that out, let's request an API key, and that's going to generate a unique API key for us that we can then use right here in Postman to make a request. So let's clear the response. Now we can pass our API key in the authorization header, and in the body we can pass along the properties that we demand in the documentation. So text1 hello and text2 world, and we can click send, which will send along a request to this API route with our authentication token. And because we generated this token ourselves, we know it's valid, and the similarity between these two texts is 0.83. That's only part of our project though, building this API service. And if we refresh this page, it prepares our dashboard where we can see a beautiful table with all the API requests that were ever made to this API endpoint, with the duration it took for the response and the status, the recency, the path, and the API key used by each request. There's a bunch of options right here where we can copy the API key into our clipboard, and we can also create a new API key, so the old one will be invalidated. Let's wait for it. There we go. And we can check that the other one is going to be validated. So we can send another request with the same body and with the old API key. Let's do it. And right away we get unauthorized error because we are not allowed to use the old API key. We are only allowed to use the latest generated API key, which is this one. So let's copy this one and try again. Let's pass it in here and send, and we should get an answer we sent with the same body hello world, so we should get the same answer, which works just fine. Now if we revoke our key, this key is invalidated, and if we try to use the same key, we should get unauthorized error because we revoked that key and it is invalidated. Great. Now I open the app twice, once in normal window, once in an incognito window, and I'm going to sign in here. And we should be redirected to the dashboard. Great. We should see our requests with the specific keys. Now let's put this light mode, and what we have now is that here we're not logged in and here we are logged in on my account. So if we try to access dashboard here, it will redirect us to the login page, and if we try to access login page here, it will redirect us to dashboard. Now let's go back to homepage, and if we try to access API key, it will also redirect us to the homepage. And if we go here, homepage, and we try to access API key, we get redirected to the dashboard because we are already logged in. And if we sign out, we get redirected to the login page. This is Next.js Middleware, intercepting requests, and depending on the URI or the route of the request, as well as whether or not the user is logged in, it redirects you to the correct route. And we've got one more feature here, which is rate limitation, basically preventing the user from spamming the API with requests. So let's try to do that and see how it works. So if we request a key, copy the key, and put it in the authorization header, head over to body, we keep the same body, and let's send many requests. Keep sending requests. Before I keep on spamming the API with requests, let me go over on how this works briefly. So here we're using rate limitation with Upstash, and this is the middleware file. Basically what we're doing is we are tracking the user's IP, and through that we are allowing the user to send a maximum of 50 requests in 1 hour. So let's go back to spamming the API, and I'm going to fast forward a bit. We're trying to reach 50 requests in 1 hour right now. Here, we get the too many requests error, which prevents the user from spamming our API.